Okay, so take two. I couldn't get a word out straight a minute ago, so I had to start over, which I rarely do. So you're usually getting authentic Jamie, but this time it's too important to be stumbling. So we are still at the Whitney Plantation here in Louisiana, outside, about 45 minutes outside of New Orleans. And we're in a different section right now. We're actually in the section where the slave quarters were, and then also this is a great location to show some of the actual cane fields, the sugar cane fields. We can't see the refinery from here, but I know from coming in that it's just over that back field. So I wish I could show you that too, but I'll try to make sure that I tie in the video of the refinery into these YouTube posts so that it all comes together. But here we are at the back of the property, and so these are the little trolley cars, and I can't remember the proper name that we just talked about 40 minutes ago, but they're the little ore cars basically, and they're welded, and these are what they would dump the boiled sugar cane. Here's the slave house, but if you're in the other video, we talked about these big iron pots that they boiled the sugar cane in, and then they would dump that big pot somehow, physically they would dump that pot in boiling hot into these iron containers, which would also be extremely hot and dangerous. And at first I questioned that because I thought it would leak out, but these things have to be, in theory, they could be from the late 1800s, and obviously they don't leak because they're full of rainwater, so they don't leak. And so then they would transport these little cars on the rail over to the refinery, which was over in that direction. And so here behind us is a little body of water. It's an enclosed body of water, so just a little lake or lowland area on the plantation grounds. And then we've got the cane fields in the back, which is where all of the slaves would have worked, is out in the fields, or the field slaves would work out in the field, cutting down the sugar cane to bring it in for production. You know, we took a picture of one of the signs, one of the slave stories on the memorial wall, which is the earlier video I did, and one of the stories was that one of the guys, one of the slaves, found 50 cents in church one day, and that was the only money that that person had seen at all in his life as a slave. 50 cents that belonged to somebody else, and he ended up giving it to his brother, telling his brother about it. So these are the slave homes. We got some pictures of one of the buildings inside. There's Wayne. And so we were just walking along this lane. It's, I guess, as nice as it could be with the trees, making it a nice little lane. You would hope that those, they're crepe myrtle trees. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Crepe myrtle trees, and they would hopefully have provided some shade. But then again, they also provided some branches that could be cut off and used as a handy dandy go beat a black person with kind of thing. So I'm not sure if they actually produced any fruits or anything that they could have eaten. No, see, why wouldn't you plant fruit trees in a plantation in a tropical area where they could grow fruit trees that would provide sustenance for the people who lived and worked there? I don't get it. See me, I'd be all organized, and that's exactly what I'd be like. Plant some strawberries in the land, put some orange trees up.
Strawberries
right?
didn't pay that good.
Strawberries weren't, yeah, that wasn't a good idea, but oranges would grow very naturally here.
Sugarcane made a bunch of rich people.
Sugarcane production made a bunch of rich people, and not a one of them picked a piece of that sugarcane. But here is a small display of sugarcane, and then I apologize, I already missed one of the signs, but I am going to stop here and we're going to read the slave quarters sign before we move on. So this one says, the slave quarters once stood a half-mile from here. A road through the center of the cabins led to the sugar mill. Enslaved families lived together in these cabins until they were separated by death, escape, or the slave trader. Outside, they often grew small garden plots and raised livestock. So I did see, there's a little example here in this fenced-in area. There's a garden there, and it looks like we might have some wild gardening going on here. But just an example of some of the living conditions of people who were being kept as property and livestock.